Assisting us in our video today is one of my students, Molly Myers, who is going to be the guinea pig. We're going to do all kinds of things with her today and ask her to do some things she probably hasn't done before. But she's such a gamer, she volunteered to help us. So thanks for helping us with video today, Moll. What we're going to start with, and I'm going to try to touch a lot of different learning levels, is if Molly was a complete beginning softball player, how would I teach her to establish what we classify as an athletic stance? Basically, what I would do if she was probably, 10 years younger and just beginning, I might say something like, Molly, why don't we get into an athletic stance by setting our feet apart and jumping in the air to see where we come down. Let me have you stand here in the batter's box and just try that. Just jump in the air a little bit. There you go. Try it again. Now, does that feel good to you? Just as if you were going to get in there and jump center against Michael Jordan, that's exactly where you jump, isn't it? Okay? You'll notice that when she does that, she comes down on the balls of her feet. And what we try to teach in hitting is that you want to have a center of gravity or balance. And all the balance is, it's a collection of our energy around our center of gravity directed to a direction. And in order to do that, you have to get in a balanced position. And what we talk about in all of our hitters as their balanced position is the chin and the belly button are centered dead center in the body. She has 50% of her weight on her front foot and 50% of her weight on her back foot. A lot of times as coaches, we might say, if you will look at where she's standing, is that her feet are shoulder width or usually just a little bit wider. And if I take a look where Molly's feet are, they are pretty much about shoulder width. Once we have established this basic athletic position, which she feels comfortable with here, we try to teach all of our fielding, all of our hitting, all of our base running out of this particular stance because it's a stance that she has chosen. It's not the same stance that I would have. It's not the same stance that someone else might have, but it's one that she has picked that makes her feel really good and comfortable. And out of this position that we call an athletic position, we have established a basic foundation. If you build a house and you put a wood foundation under it versus a cement foundation, you're going to find that the cement foundation is much stronger. So the most important thing when we're building anything in an athlete is to establish a good foundation, and it always starts from the ground up. So now that she's established her feet where she feels comfortable, what we want to try to do is to see if she can get into a balanced position. She's already standing 50-50. But in order for her to get into a balanced position, the next thing I might say to her is, okay, Ma, you and I are going to run a race, okay? And we're going to run a race to second base out here. Would you stand in a straight upright position like this, or would you put some bend in your knees now? Now, you notice how she starts to bend over? Her knees are bent now. The weight automatically in this balanced 50-50 position goes to the balls of her feet. I can almost slide a thin piece of cheese underneath her heels. I've got my fingers right now almost an inch underneath her heels, which tells me that by bending her knees now, she has put the weight right over this part of her foot, the ball of her foot. So now she's in a position where she's established a good foundation. She's also in a position where she can be quick in any direction from this position. So she's got the weight over the balls of her feet simply by bending her knees. And if you were to look at that from the back side, this is what you would see with straight legs, and and of course my stride's a little bit wider, as soon as I put the weight over the balls of my feet, you can just barely slide a thin piece of cheese underneath my heels, which tells me that the weight is over the balls of the feet. Now this is establishing this stance. After we've established this athletic position, then what we want to try to do is to understand how this lower half is going to work. In order for her to hit, if she were to stride forward from this 50-50 position, and you see that the chin and the belly button are lined up directly center in her body, if she was to stride forward to her front foot from this position, she would transfer weight as she steps. Now you see the weight go to the front half now, which is okay as long as the speed is the same. You change the speed of the softball, and this stance or this posture right here will put you out in front, and you will become susceptible to off-speed pitches. And when we work with our pitchers, we just tell our kids three things. In order to be successful You need to have 3 pitches at 3 separate speeds with 3 separate actions, and you can be successful at any level, from the little Mighty Mite level to the high school level to the college level. But if you have 3 pitches and they're all close to the very same speed, even if they have different action, the timing of the hitter is going to be there and they have a chance to hit the ball. But if you take maybe a rise ball that might be your fastest pitch, or a drop ball, peel drop might be your fastest pitch, whatever it is, and if it's at 50 miles an hour and your change-up is at 35 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour less, and your curve ball might be at 40, you have 3 different pitches at 3 different speeds with 3 separate actions. And you're going to have a chance to be successful in getting hitters out. If you take the 50-50 posture that Molly's in and stride forward from this posture, go ahead and take a stride, Moll. The weight has now centered here. Her center of gravity is forward, and if the pitch has a different speed to it, she's going to be in trouble because of her timing. Now, if we get her into more of a balanced position, what we call a 60-40 position, where she takes her chin and her belly button and she puts it over the inside ball of her back foot. Now what I'll do, if she's a beginner, I will put my knee against her back knee here just to hold her right there in her balanced position, and then I'll say, okay, now stride to the inside ball of your front foot without transferring your weight. This helps hold it back. It's exactly what you want to do. Now, bring her back again, Moll. Let's say that she takes her stride to the inside ball and it's a fastball, okay? Now she can spin on the ball of her back foot or squash the bug, whatever terminology that we use there. She has an L in her back leg here. She has balance in the execution of her movement. Now let's say, for instance, okay, go back again. Let's say that she takes a stride once again to the ball of her foot, but now it's an off-speed pitch. She has made no weight commitment to this side of her body yet. You will only transfer the back side to the front side through the softball on the swing as you swing. So now she's already taken the stride. The pitch is an off-speed pitch. She's made no commitment. So she is in what we call a 60-40 posture, or a balanced and center of gravity position. From this position here, her chin and belly button should be closely lined up with the inside ball of this foot. I would venture to say that she could take her foot and step over here without putting weight on it. Okay? Step back over there, right all the way out in front here. That tells me right now that she is in a balanced or center of gravity position because she puts no weight on the foot when she steps, even though she's stepping in a direction. This is balanced with the chin, the belly button, and ball of foot all lined up. And when you establish this posture, you will not be susceptible to off-speed pitches. If it happens to be a fastball or a drop ball or whatever it happens to be, the hardest pitch that the pitcher's throwing, you will stride and then commit your weight in the swing because you are at a 60-40 position. And a lot of times what we'll do with our kids, say Molly was a young beginning budding star, she does happen to be a junior in high school, and she's got that low center of gravity, she's a catcher, but we would just have the kids line up, just fold our arms, get in a 50-50 posture. If I had 45 kids out here and in unison together, we would say, all right, establish balance. We bounce our knees, okay? That puts the weight over the balls of the feet. Every stance is going to be different now. As you look around your 40 or 50 kids, or even 10 that you have, you're going to see a different posture and a different width between the feet. Simply because, look at her, the size of Molly's body and the size of my body. My center of gravity is up here, Moll's center of gravity is down here. So her stance is going to be a little bit different than mine. But once we get them set up in this position here, all we're going to say after the little bounce to put the weight over the balls of the feet is 50-50, 60, center of gravity and balance. Pick it up, set it down, and squash the bug or spin on the ball of the foot. And then we want to look back to see if we have an L on our back leg. Okay? So this is how we would establish a stance and give the kids a feel without adding all the upper body to this. We would give them a feel for what the lower part of the body should be doing here. 50-50, 60, 40, inside ball, spin, squash the bug. Now if you will look at both of our bodies, you should be able to look similar, and you should be able to drive a stake right through the center of our body and split us in half. Now, here's a coaching point. stay right there, Maul. Maul has pretty good balance right here. But let's say, for instance, that she moved the body weight all the way forward. Do you notice how the L went out of the back leg? Okay, that's one good checkpoint. If she's leaning backwards, like some kids do in this position, here's another checkpoint. Leaning backwards like this is the same way, okay, hon, come back up, is the same way as me throwing a punch. Hold your hand up right here, Maul. Okay, the other one there. If I throw a punch at Molly's hand, and my weight is balanced, and I throw the punch like this, I can drive right through her hand. But if I fall away from it, there's nothing behind my swing. And that's what happens when you lean away. You do not finish through the ball. And it all has to do with this lower body part here if it's in a balanced position. Okay?